2022 is winding down and the real estate market is cooling off, but will it heat back up in the new year? Founder of the Jim Bottrell Real Estate Team, Jim Bottrell, joins us now with his predictions. Jim, good to see you as always.
Thank you.
Let's start with the year right behind us. It's in our rearview mirror here.
Okay. Yeah, pretty much.
Give us a summary of 2022 because there were a lot of changes.
Yeah, it was an exciting year. So it started out with a bang. Interest rates were about 3%. Buyers were out in force. There weren't a lot of houses for them to buy, so we had bidding wars, craziest bidding wars I've even heard of.
Right.
15% uptick in prices in between January 1 and May 31, so that was exciting. And then the administration, the Fed, Jerome Powell, decided that inflation was in fact not transitory, wasn't Russian disinformation. It was real, and it was a real problem at 9.7. It was out of control. So then they embarked upon the fastest increase of the Fed funds rate that we've had in our nation's history, which right behind that comes mortgages, the fastest increase of mortgages in our nation's history. So then what happened is interest rates went from 3% to about 7%, and that basically forced out all the would-be buyers, just basically being physically prevented from buying these houses because interest rates were up so artificially high, and then we saw a decline of prices of 15%. So we're pretty much right back where we were on January 1, but what a ride. Up 15%, down 15% in 1 year.
Now, what do you think about interest rates? Are they going to keep going up?
You know, unfortunately, I think they are. We just had the CPI report come out just a few days ago, 7.1% interest. I don't know why people are saying that's a victory, because it's still 7.1% inflation over November of last year. But you have to remember, last year the CPI was 6.8. So now you have a combined 24 months of 13.9. It should be 4. All right, so Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Fed, has said that he will use all his tools in his power to get inflation back down to that 2-3% where it should be, and that doesn't bode well for interest rates.
Okay, and what do you expect housing prices to do in San Diego County in the coming year?
Well, they're not going to go up. I'm pretty sure of that. But you know, even if the prices don't go up, it's still better than renting. I mean, with all the tax benefits and the principal reduction, it's still better. Housing prices going up in value, that's a great side benefit of owning houses, but a fantastic side benefit. But I think that if interest rates stay below 7.5% and or we have a mild recession, I think a lot of the decline is already kind of priced in. We might not have too much of an impact. On the other hand, if interest rates go shooting up and or we have a bad recession, well, then there's more pain to be had in the housing market, so we'll see prices decline even more. I still think that we're more likely to see a 9 or a 10% interest rate, mortgage interest rate, than we are a 4. But who knows? Recessions change things, so we'll see.
Let's shift gears here and talk about another group of people who are very affected by this, and that is people who are in the professionals in the real estate industry.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. And we're talking title, insurance.
Title, escrow, lending, mortgage. So 2023 is going to go. It's not going to go well for them. It's not going to go well for any of us. It's going to be a very, very hard year. And the reason being is, well, we just had fourth quarter. There was half as many sales in the fourth quarter this year as there was last year. I know there's a lot of people out there saying, you know, boo-hoo realtors, they made way too much money. I'm not going to disagree with them. But it's going to be hard, but it's not just the real estate agents. Now, real estate agents, they depend on the churn. The houses have to sell transactions. Sure. The price doesn't really matter that much. They just have to churn. There's only going to be half as many sales in 2023 because those people aren't going to sell their houses that are sitting on a 2.75% interest rate to get a house that has a 7% interest rate. They're just not going to sell. So there's going to be half as many sales. Now, this is especially devastating to all those that are in title, escrow, and the mortgage industry, plus all their staffs, all that stuff, because half of those three, title, escrow, and mortgage, was refis. That's half their business has been refis. Well, they're not going to be any refis. Nobody's going to refi from a 2.75 rate to a 7.25 rate. There's not going to be. So they lost half their business right there. The other half of their business is the sale transactions, and there's only going to be half of those. So those people, they're going to lose 3/4 of their revenue in 2023. Realtors are going to lose half, and that's going to be really hard. So, you know, it's going to be very unpopular for me to make this prediction, but I predict that 50%, only 50% of all the people that are in the real estate industry will still be in the industry at the end of 2023. Yeah. And it's only those companies, those agents, those teams, those owners that didn't live off the profits, that were able to squirrel away their acorns when times are good, to have that war chest of reserves, because nobody's going to, in the industry, nobody's going to make any money in 2023. You're going to survive 2023. And if you have that war chest of reserves, you can do it. If you don't, We're going to see a lot of brokerages. We're going to see a lot of pain and devastation inside the industry. It's going to be a really tough industry for the next year.
All right. Hate to end on a down note, but we appreciate your candor.
Yeah, I just gotta be
It
honest.
is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Jim Bottrell, what's your website?
JimHasTheBuyers.com.
JimHasTheBuyers.com.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Jim.